There are weapons that we know a lot about, like Khaled Bowl, Claw of the Conner or Nevermore. However, the two we're going over today we know very little about. One of them in particular we know virtually nothing except its ties to the giants of old. So hello, welcome to my channel. Here we'll learn the lore and stories of the world of Tyria. Today we're gonna discover the lore of two legendary weapons, the Juggernaut and Frostfang. Since both of these weapons have little lore on them, I decided to put them both in a video. As always, you can find the full lore and guide on the official Guild Wars 2 wiki. Let's begin. The Juggernaut, a relic from a forgotten age. Across Tyria, countless legendary weapons carry the names of famous heroes, forgotten kingdoms or great battles. Their stories have been passed down through history, giving us glimpses into the people who once carried them. The Juggernaut is different. Its story begins with a mystery. The only thing that we know for certain is that it is far older than most legendary weapons. The official records tells us a relic dating back to the age of the Giganticus Lupicus, the Juggernaut may be a gift from the gods. When held by a worthy champion, they are cast in a solid sheet of Quicksilver. Those few words tells us that this hammer comes from one of the oldest known periods in Tyria's history, an age so distant that almost nothing about it has survived. We do not know who forged the weapon, who first carried it into battle, or what the world looked like when it was created. The answers have simply been lost to time. Even the phrase, the age of the Giganticus Lupicus, remains one of Tyria's greatest mysteries. The Giganticus Lupicus is known today as the enormous undead creature that lurks within the ruined city of Ara, but the official lore never explains what connection, if any, exists between the creature and the legendary hammer. The age is mentioned only as a point in history, leaving us with far more questions than answers. Sometimes, the oldest stories survive, not because they are complete, but because they leave us wondering. A gift from the gods. The mystery deepens with the weapon's own description. It tells us that the Juggernaut may be a gift from the gods. That single word, may, is important. The lore never confirms that the 6 human gods created the hammer. It does not tell us which god it might have come from, nor does it explain how it found its way into Tyria. Whether it truly came from the gods, or whether people simply believed it did, has never been answered. That uncertainty has become part of the weapon's legend. Throughout Tyria's history, the gods have been linked to many powerful relics. Ancient temples, sacred artifacts, and divine blessings can still be found across the world. Because of this, it's easy to understand why some would believe that an object as extraordinary as the Juggernaut must have come from divine hands. But belief is not proof. The weapon keeps its secret, just as it has for countless centuries. The Champion of Quicksilver. Although its origins are unknown, one part of the legend is unmistakable. When the Juggernaut is held by a worthy champion, something incredible happens. The weapon surrounds its bearer with flowing quicksilver, covering their body in shimmering liquid metal. Armor gleams like polished silver, footsteps leave bright metallic traces behind, and the hammer itself seems alive as quicksilver flows endlessly within its crystal chamber. The lore never explains how this transformation works. It could be an ancient enchantment, a divine blessing, or a form of forgotten magic that no longer exists anywhere else in Tyria. Even the meaning of worthy champion remains unknown. No official story tells us who first earned the hammer's blessing. No hero has ever been named as its original owner. The weapon simply waits, revealing its power only to those it deems worthy. Perhaps that mystery is exactly what has allowed its legend to survive for so long. How to craft a Juggernaut. To craft a Juggernaut you will need these 4 things. The Colossus, the precursor, Gift of the Juggernaut, Gift of Fortune, and a Gift of Mastery. When these are brought to the Mystic Forge, the Juggernaut is born. The legend that endures. Unlike many legendary weapons, the Juggernaut has no recorded battles, no famous victories, and no celebrated master whose name became part of history. Instead, its greatest strength is the mystery surrounding it. It's a relic from an age that history can barely remember. It may have been touched by the gods, or it may simply carry a legend that has grown stronger with every passing generation. No scholar has uncovered the truth, and the ArenaNet has never revealed what really happened. Yet perhaps that is exactly the point. Not every legend needs every answer. Some are remembered because they remind us of how much Tyria's history has already disappeared. The kingdoms may crumble, great cities may sink beneath the sea, even the names of heroes can fade into silence. But every time the Juggernaut is lifted once more, its quicksilver begins to flow again, as though the ancient relic is remembering a story that the rest of the world has long forgotten. And somewhere within that forgotten past, the true history of the Juggernaut still waits to be discovered. The Juggernaut reminds us that not every legend has all of its answers. Some relics survive while their creators, their battles, and even the age they came from are forgotten. They leave behind only questions, inviting each new generation to wonder about the truth hidden beneath the passing centuries. But not every legendary weapon is wrapped in complete silence. Some carry fragments of history that still echo across Tyria. Their stories have survived through songs, ancient records, and the memories of those who came after. Even so, they still hold mysteries that time has never fully explained. One such weapon was born beneath the frozen skies of the far Shiver Peaks, where courage met impossible odds, and an ordinary axe became something far greater. This is the story of Frostfang. A journey into the frozen north. Its story begins in the frozen wilderness of the far Shiver Peaks, where one warrior chose to face an enemy that no mortal should ever challenge alone. Her name was Leif. Very little is known about her. The official record tells us. Leif traveled to the far Shiver Peaks to challenge Jormag. Near death, she took one last swing at her foe before falling unconscious. She awoke the next morning, her axe encased in an icy dragon's head. We do not know where she came from, what drove her forward, or whether she believed she could truly defeat such a powerful creature. What we do know is that she refused to turn back. Somewhere among the endless snow and ice, Leif met the Elder Dragon. She fought until she was close to death, giving everything she had. With her final strength, she swung her axe one last time before collapsing into the frozen wilderness. Whether that final strike reached Jormag is never revealed. The official story simply tells us that Leif lost consciousness beneath the cold northern sky. When morning came, Leif opened her eyes. She had survived, but something had changed. The simple axe she had carried into battle was gone. In its place was a weapon unlike anything she had seen before. Her axe had become encased within the frozen head of an icy dragon, transformed into the legendary weapon now known as Frostfang. No one knows how this happened. The official lore never explains whether the change was caused by Jormag's magic, by the battle itself, or by some other force hidden within the frozen mountains. It also never tells us what became of Leif after that day. Did she continue her journey? Did she return home? Did she understand what had happened to her weapon? The answers have never been recorded. Like many ancient legends, part of the history has simply disappeared with time. Another Frostfang. The legendary axe shares its name with another figure whose story is far better known. Long before the events of Guild Wars 2, Frostfang was the name of the greatest champion ever to serve Jormag. When the Elder Dragon awakened in 1165 AE, this terrible ice-brewed champion became one of the greatest threats the Norn had ever faced. So powerful was Frostfang that many believed no mortal could stand against it. But one Norn refused to accept defeat. His name was Askir Dragonrender. With the help from the spirits of the wild, and inspired by the courage of the Norn who had fallen before him, Askir faced Jormag's champion in battle. With a single mighty strike, he killed Frostfang, achieving one of the greatest victories in Norn history. That victory became the foundation of one of the Norn's most treasured legends. Even centuries later, the enormous ribs of the fallen champion can still be found within Askir's legacy in Bjora Marches, standing as silent proof that the battle truly happened. How to craft Frostfang. To craft this legendary axe you will need these 4 things. The Tooth of Frostfang, the precursor. Gift of Frostfang, Gift of Fortune, and the Gift of Mastery. When these 4 have been put into the Mystic Forge, Frostfang is given to you. A legend wrapped in ice. The connection between the legendary axe and Jormag's fallen champions is one of Tyria's oldest mysteries. Both bear the name Frostfang. The weapon itself resembles the frozen head of an ice dragon, breathing cold mist with every movement. When a champion carries it, frost spreads across their arm, icy footprints mark their path, and every strike seems filled with the bitter cold of the far shiver peaks. Yet the official lore never tells us whether the axe was forged from the remains of Jormung's champion, whether it carries the champion's power, or whether its name is simply meant to honor the ancient legend. Those answers remain unknown. Perhaps they always will. But that mystery has become part of Frostfang's own story. Some legends are remembered because every detail is written down for future generations. Others are remembered because they leave questions that no one can answer. Frostfang is one of those legends. It carries the memory of a lone warrior who challenged an elder dragon, and it shares the name with the greatest champion Jormung ever commanded. Between those two stories lies a mystery buried beneath the snow, waiting for a truth that history has never revealed. This has been the story of the Juggernaut and Frostfang. I hope you enjoyed this video. Both of these weapons are really cool in their own way, but the fact remains that we don't really know a lot about them. Even so, they are two of my favorite legendaries from Gen 1. With that said, thank you for watching this video. Please like and comment something you thought was interesting or something that I missed. Also subscribe to not miss future lore content in this format. Now, take care, and I will see you in the next story. Goodbye.